Hello, I'm Dr. Holly Daniels, coming to you from Sober College Studios in Los Angeles, California, and this is a Mental Health Moment. It can be very difficult for the whole family when someone within the family gets sick or struggles with a mental illness or addiction, developmental issue, or relationship issue. Often when someone is very obviously not well, other family members might do what they can to help find help for that one person. But most psychologists understand that when one person in a family is struggling, it's often exacerbated by unconscious family dynamics that might be at play. And in order to really help that one person, we need to reach further into the whole family system and help the family understand what's fully going on and what changes all family members might have to make in order for long-lasting health and wellness to occur, not only for the one identified struggling individual, but also for the entire family. In psychology, we call this idea family systems theory. And family systems theory, which originated with a psychologist named Murray Bowen, states that individuals cannot be understood in isolation from one another, but they must be understood as a part of their family system, because the family is an emotional unit, and it's the nature of the family that its members are intensely connected emotionally. There are unconscious relationship agreements within each family system, and each member of the family system is expected to respond to other members in a certain way according to his or her role in the family. These roles are not necessarily conscious. The transparency and the health of these different roles and the inner unconscious workings of the family system has a lot to do with whether or not there are healthy boundaries and secure attachments between members of the family system. And you can look at our Mental Health Moments videos on healthy boundaries and healthy attachment styles for more information in that direction. But the reason why each family member takes on a particular role in a family system is so that the system can create a status quo or equilibrium that incorporates every member's role. This is reflective of traditional scientific systems theory, which states that all systems work to maintain equilibrium, and the process of maintaining the equilibrium is characterized by the interaction of the system components, the family members. And these systems are complex and nonlinear. We can't just look at the addition of each of the individual parts. We have to look at the system holistically or synergistically. The interactions and combinations of the parts is what actually creates the family. Here's an example of the systems idea to maybe make it a little more clear. If you were baking chocolate chip cookies, you couldn't lay out all of the ingredients on the counter, the flour and the sugar and the eggs and the baking soda and the butter and the chocolate chips all in a row and say, here you go, here are your chocolate chip cookies, right? The cookies only happen when the ingredients work together and go through a process together to become cookies. So if we look at a family system in that way, right, and if somebody in the family system is sick or has an addiction or an eating disorder or is depressed and anxious or even has autism or a developmental delay, the family system is going to unconsciously and non-linearly work to maintain the equilibrium and still look like a functioning family, still represent as a cookie, right? And how that is going to happen is that each family member is going to take on different roles that support a status quo. Even the person who is obviously struggling will take on a role as part of the whole. So in the cookie example, if the baking soda, let's say, is flat, right, then the chocolate chips might have to work extra hard to make sure that the cookie is still tasty and still functions as a chocolate chip cookie. Try to distract from the flatness of the cookie because of the baking soda, right? But if the chocolate chips always have to keep working so hard, maybe they're going to get tired and not be able to show up so much, and the sugar is going to have to take over to be the sweetness in the cookie, right, and bear part of the load. And then maybe the sugar and the chocolate chips have a resentment against the baking soda, and on and on. And I might be running on with my chocolate chip cookie metaphor here, but I think you understand what I mean. Within this family system, we cannot view the person who is struggling in a vacuum, because all of the pieces work together and interact together all the time, right? And if one person in the system is struggling, the whole system is being affected. And we also know, and here's the tough part, that the system has found some sort of equilibrium with the struggling person as part of the system. And in fact, the struggle of that person itself might be serving a role in protecting the equilibrium of the family by distracting attention away from family secrets or unhealthy family dynamics. In other words, the struggling person, whom we might call the identified patient, is serving a role with his or her struggling. And for that person to heal and get better, the entire system has to change a little bit in order to accommodate the struggling person's new role as healthy and well. This pull to maintain equilibrium is so strong that often a person who is struggling with a mental health or behavioral issue will not be able to get better and maintain health and well-being unless all of the parts of the family system change a bit to allow for the person's new role as healthy and well. So when we as care providers are working with a person who is struggling, someone who has an addiction or severe depression or trouble maturing and embracing adulthood for whatever reason, we have to work with the whole family to ensure that even as we work individually with the identified patient, we're working to create a new family system with new rules and roles that will embrace and support the health and well-being of the person who is receiving treatment, as well as the health and well-being of the entire family system. But the good news is when we work with the whole system and not just the identified patient who is coming into treatment or to therapy, we can have a long-lasting effect, even a multi-generational positive effect on the family, which is a really beautiful thing. So if you have a family member who is struggling and you're wondering, how do I start working in a family systems way to help get my loved one some help? This is what I would suggest. If your loved one needs treatment and/or therapy, scout out and work with therapists or treatment centers that use family systems approaches and incorporate family work in the healing process. You can even find family therapists who can work with the entire family at one time to heal the whole system together, including the people in the system who are visibly hurting. There are family support groups such as Al-Anon or CODA that can be very helpful, and I actually recommend them for everyone because even the healthiest of families can use some education in this direction to get healthier and stronger as a family system. My one suggestion that you can start to do today is learn more about mindfulness and practice mindfulness within your family system. Mindfulness is the one psychological modality that helps everyone across the board as they're healing and growing, because when we learn mindfulness, we learn to take a breath, we learn to take a moment when there are uncomfortable situations or when we become emotionally entangled with one another, especially within our family system. And we learn really helpful skills that help us disengage from our automatic fight or flight neurological responses and allow space for our wise mind and our patience with one another to shine through. You can check out Our Mental Health Moment on mindfulness, and there are many books and resources on mindfulness, including books about how to create mindful family systems. I hope this helped with your understanding of family systems and what it means to look beyond the identified patient when treating someone who is hurting. As always, we'd love to hear your questions and comments, so please send us an email to the address on the screen. I'm Dr. Holly Daniels, wishing you all health and happiness.